Hi. I am Godless Sewing. I know it's been a while, and I want to say hello to anyone watching this in the future. I'm doing this live stream just to figure out what I'm going to do with this leopard print. I had it in my video, but when it was on the editors, it basically fell on the editor's floor. So I tried. Okay, good. I'm live. So, to anyone watching, I'm Godless Sewing. To any of my new subscribers, I say thank you. I've gained a few subscribers, I've lost a bunch, and I thank everyone for subscribing to my crazy, crazy channel. Hey, Liz, you just reminded me I need to get my phone going. So, what do you think about the leopard print, Liz? Do you think I should keep it? Get rid of it? I was thinking about making like a jacket, or I was trying to figure out what I should make with it. But in the meanwhile, I was thinking about making a kufi while I'm waiting for people to come in general. My phone's always leopard, huh? I agree. I agree. They didn't have cheetah print. So my local Walmart has like one of the last fabric sections in America, I think. It was built in the 1990s, and it has this giant fabric section. And quite honestly, in most stores, I do not see the same style. And because it's Walmart, it's really affordable. I go to Joann's a lot, but you could walk out of there spending $200 or $300 and get only like 14, 15 yards. So it's one of those strange things. But heck yeah. How's it going? How's it going? I'm a bit rusty because I haven't done a live in a very, very long time. So it's going to be a bunch of fumbling and bumbling. And if you want to join, hit me up on Twitter and you can hop right in. But I was thinking about, in the meanwhile, excuse me, let's make something. I was thinking about patching my pants because these pants are holy and not in the way you think. And I've kind of told myself that I'm just going to keep sewing on these pants until they're just one giant patch. So I'm going to move this. So yeah, like I was saying, there's so much fabric at the store by my house that it's ridiculous. So I go there often. And it's to the point where I can go to Joann's and then go to Walmart and pick out the exact same print, because I think they get them from the exact same companies, to tell you the honest truth. I could be wrong. But in many cases, I've seen the same print at both Joann's and Walmart. But like I said, it could be something that's only regional, because where I live, it's a strange, strange place. A leopard and pleather jacket. So, Pyro Sketcher, I want to know what part of, well, if you don't feel like saying, do you live in Southern Florida? Do you live where all the chaos is? I've been there a few times. I'm rolling these up and I'm going to cut a square right there. And then I'm going to start my patch. So, true story, I got these scissors from the 99-cent store, and they are the sharpest pair of scissors I've come across. I'm not saying everything from the dollar store is quality, but this is, let me see if you can see that. See how easily it's cutting through denim? And I'm barely pushing down. A leopard. I do have a ton of pleather in here, but I've kind of graduated from vinyl work because it's a ton of work after a while. Let's see. I have so many scraps sitting here, but I was thinking about using the blue from my last jacket that I made because it pops. The one thing about this particular fabric is that it fades. You can see like that's only from a month or two ago and it has completely faded. And this as well. I just recently put this in within a month or two. But it looks good. It fits what I'm going for. So where is do you know I started this live completely disorganized, but I have my toolbox. I keep thread in toolboxes. I don't know if it's to make me feel more manly, but I have a ton of toolboxes. I actually have rollaways with nothing but sewing supplies in it. It's serious in the sewing room. All right. You know what? I'm going to use this needle, but I need to get my grandma tin of sin out. So I've told this story before, but when my grandmother passed away, I redid her house. She had a 5 bedroom house with a study downstairs, a dining room. It was a huge house. So it took me a while to redo the house, to paint it, because I did everything by myself. I slowly discovered, besides the fact that my grandmother hoarded buttons, she hoarded old tins. And I'm telling you, if you don't have sewing supplies and old tins, it's actually more disappointing than there not being cookies in there. So, what color should I use? Oh, okay. I live near I have a friend who moved in that area. She's an awesome human being, and I'm glad that she's thriving out there. It's a beautiful place. You know, the funny thing is, I live in Southern California, and I didn't realize how much of a fair weather human being that I am until I moved up north. I lived in Oregon for a while, and I realized I am not a cold weather person. It definitely, eh, I to my credit, I lasted 4 years. So, for better or for worse, I guess. That's awesome. Normally I have music blaring, but I feel like if I start pumping my music, I'll get a copyright strike. Or maybe that's just the fairy tale I'm telling myself. I have been on this, I have completely tuned out because of the news and everything lately. So I've been watching a lot of Star Trek and MacGyver and hockey, of course. Oh, that blue is going to look perfect. So when I was going through my grandmother's house, I found the Bel Air sewing machine. I found one of those sewing tables, but I will never know what sewing machine was on there because there were quite a few sewing machines at our house. But I was shocked when I found all of these tins of sewing supplies. Hold on, let me look and see. This Texas tin is older than I am, and I'm in my 40s. But this thing is awesome because it has a lot of her old stuff in it. And let me see if it has the Sewing Susan. There we go. I don't know if you can see that. The Sewing Susan. This is awesome stuff from the 1950s. This is like straight from the 1950s. Let's see if it has a year on it. Oh, this one actually still has quite a few needles in it too. The other one did not. Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's awesome. It's made in Japan. That's awesome. 1964. So these are from 1964. That's awesome. Like I said, my grandma tins of sin are still around. So when I went through her house, I was shocked to find all of her sewing supplies. She got rid of nothing. But my grandmother lived to be 99, so as she got older, she put her sewing stuff away. But it's awesome that it ended up in my hands because I'm actually doing something with it. Oh. So this blue absolutely pops, and it's going to add to the menagerie of these pants. As these pants grow more and more, I get comments from people. They're either extreme. It's either I like your pants, or do you need $1, sir? It really depends on the person. Let's see how big this patch is. All right. People won't text me all day, and then the second I start doing something, I get a bunch of texts. So, how's everybody doing out there? Liz, how does it go in P Town? Makes it sound worse than what it is. I miss that place. I lived in Portland, Oregon in the early 2000s, and it was a place to live. Nowadays, it's not necessarily the nicest place, but who am I to talk? I live in LA County. I literally live in Gotham City. That's why I really try not to talk too much trash about where people live, because it's not necessarily the greatest place on earth where I live either. I was thinking about making a code or something, but it gets intricate after a while. And I know I know sewing isn't necessarily the most interesting thing in the world. But so back on to my grandma's house, everybody was too busy fighting over the house and fighting each other to realize that all this amazing stuff was in her house. And in the end, nobody wanted it. I had to get a storage unit because I put everything from her house into storage. And the funny thing is, I ended up with all of her sewing supplies. The Bel Air sewing machine is a beast. That thing is an absolute beast. It's one of those things where if you find it in a thrift store, I would say buy it. Don't pay more than like $50, but definitely buy it. All right. So I'm going to throw this patch underneath here. Let's see if it translates. Perfect. All right. I'll get my pins in place. I was going to hit this with the sewing machine, but I don't see a point because I'm just going to sew everything in place. I've recently been thinking about moving. So I'm going to do a few live streams before I move from my house. I'm going to move in the next 3-4 months. Because it's time. It's time to move on. So I think I'm going to do a couple live streams just to remember this place as it is. How's it going, dude? All right. So as I'm putting this patch on, yeah, go ahead. Take one. All right. Oh, that's going to look beautiful. I'm probably going to add white to it because the white really makes it pop. And when you match the colors, it shows. And on some things, because I'm all about mismatching. Hmm. Yeah, Liz, pleather isn't necessarily the most fun thing on earth to work with, and it kills sewing machines. And when you're using the sewing machine, if you use too fine of a stitch, it will literally cut the leather as you're doing it. So if you're just sitting there stitching it, it'll cut it as you think you're sewing, but you're really just cutting it. All right. Do you know what's funny? That is the hand of youth over there. That is my son. Just could not help himself. There's been so much drama and everybody hates each other. So I figured that I would keep my channel exclusively sewing. Because the funny thing about being a YouTuber is that it's really easy to get caught up in drama with a bunch of people that you really don't know. And that in any normal circumstance, you probably wouldn't hang out with half of those people. And that's everybody. So I've dedicated my channel to sewing because that's what I do. Back in the day, going back to when I was hanging out at my grandma's house, most of the pieces in that closet I made at my grandma's house, and I didn't have Instagram or anything. Oh, her house was a 1950s and 60s Sears. Liz, it was crazy. But yeah, because I had this giant empty house to myself, I started making these huge pieces on the back of jackets, and that's kind of what made the Godless Sewing channel. Well, first it was my Instagram channel, my Instagram page, and then I went to Twitter, which has completely. I want to know, anybody in the chat, if you're still there, is Twitter important to you? Is Twitter important at all to you? Is it something that, like, you know, can you deal with it or without it? I don't know. Because a lot of people, they're freaking out. Other people are just leaving and getting on with their life. I'm going on it less frequently. It's one of those funny things, you know. Do you care that excuse me, do you care that Elon Musk is going crazy? Because quite honestly, in one way I do, because Twitter was the biggest platform I was on, but in another way, or I'm sorry, the most followers I have on a platform, but in another way, I don't care. You know, it's one of those funny things. All right, let me see if I can get this on camera where my microphone is actually where. There you go. All right. So all I did was cut out the imperfection of the patch and made a giant square, or kind of like Missouri. And then I'm just gonna start putting X's on it because that's like my signature. But you can add any kind of stitch. You could add little ones, big ones, make it look like fireworks went off. That's the beautiful thing about patchwork. And it's drama free. So, all right. Oh man. So there I was, minding my own business. And then I discovered YouTube out of boredom, you know. But I really didn't think anyone cared about sewing until that one fateful day I typed in sewing channels and was shocked how many sewing channels there are on YouTube, you know. And I figured I should give it a go. And it's actually somebody who I shall not name kind of famously said, you know, start a YouTube channel. Why not? And I kind of believe in that. Like, why not? You know, scream into the void like everybody else. Let's see. Let's see that. Patchwork is something that I got into because besides Portland, Oregon, I lived in LA too, and I just started falling into all different types of styles. I'm really into fashion, but I'm more into fashion that translates into like everyday use. Because no one's gonna wear like most of that weird stuff that you see at fashion shows. No one's gonna wear that. But recently, from people that are subscribed to my channel, I discovered patchwork fashion shows, and I've seen some amazing patchwork. It's crazy what people do. They literally start off with 2 squares and keep going. So it's definitely something that I'm thinking about doing, and I'm still working on. Let me see if I can find the pattern. I don't know if that. There it is. This is the most amazing pattern that has ever. When I found this in, let me change the layout. Okay. There we go. There we go. Come on. Look at the 80s hair. That is the greatest pattern of all time. And the funny thing is, this is like someone made this in their home. I laughed. I laughed so hard when I found this in the thrift store that people were looking at me. It was hilarious. The funny thing is, at first I was like, that's the dumbest thing ever. And I was like, and when I got it in the car, I was like, you know what? That's awesome. I've kind of fallen in love with crazy patterns lately just because clothes are so bland. And like I said, I'm more about translating, like I'm about fashion, but what about translates into everyday fashion, not just the stuff that you see in fashion shows that no one's going to wear, you know? And quite honestly, nowadays, the more goofy something is, the more someone wants it. As someone who sells clothes, it's strange to me how I'll make the goofiest vest and someone will want it, you know? And I thought it was just my funky style, but someone actually wanted well, quite a few vests. Especially like cat vests. For some reason, people love having cats on the back of their vests. Oh. Oh, that's gonna look good. I should add an alternate color, but I might just keep it blue and white. I don't know. What do you think? Should I add another color? Should I keep it blue and white? And like I said, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. I'm doing this because I am sincerely thinking about moving away from my moving, and I wanted to enjoy this sewing room for as long as I still have it. I'm probably going to move into a bigger sewing room. All right. You know, I should really be defluffing my Husqvarna Viking sewing machine. It was my workhorse of a sewing machine, but it's completely and utterly kind of fallen by the wayside. It's throwing an uneven stitch, and the only reason it is because it needs to be cleaned. There's no other reason than the fact that it just needs to be cleaned. So I think after that, well, no, I shouldn't pull that out. It's a Herculean task. But this is coming along perfect. So, how's everyone doing? Liz, I know you're at work right now. In a weird way, I miss working night shift. I miss working at night because the world's a completely different place. When you work third shift, the world is a completely different place. There's less people on the road, less of a mess. So I recently saw some YouTubers. They were in Hollywood and they were walking through Hollywood. They were walking around. They had their cameras out, and a bunch of guys jumped them just for because they happened to film the guys. Which in public you can film almost anybody. So it's distressing times in my hometown. So I am sincerely thinking about moving because everything's kind of changed. Oh, oh, that sounds important. All right. It's always never as important as it sounds, huh? And plus, the UPS guy has strict instructions to leave it at the front door. So I love wearable fashion. It's one of those things. The hobo look is definitely something that caught on with me. Skids Crasher. Hey, Skids, you want to join? You can. I'll send you a link. On Twitter. It takes me a second because I'm a total boomer. Gotta find you. But yeah. Oh, I don't know if that's the link actually. give me a quick second. How's your day going? I felt like doing a rando live stream because I'm going to be moving. How's Northern Cali? How's Northern Cali this time of year? I actually lived up there a while ago, and it was not a boring place. There we go. It's the second link if you feel like jumping in. But yeah, I'm trying to finish this patch. It's funny because these pants are slowly disintegrating, and it's perfect for someone like me because these are patchwork pants. And it's funny how it works out that way. Oh, yeah. If anyone wants to hop in, feel free. I'm just having a rando stream because I feel like finishing a few projects. And quite honestly, I would be doing this whether I was streaming or not. So it's one of those funny things. Oh, man. So after I got done finishing my grandmother's house, I brought everything into this room and it slowly started building my sewing room because I already had my Husqvarna Viking. I already had a few. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. I sent you a link on Twitter if you want to hop in. But hey, butterfly on my wall. I absolutely think you're awesome. Hello, hello. I'm doing some patchwork pants. If anyone wants to jump in, um, you know what? I'll put the. Let me see if I can put the. There you go. If anyone wants to jump in, feel free. I'm adding to these amazing patchwork pants. I was thinking about cleaning my Husqvarna Viking sewing machine also because it's become a mess. It's one of those. It's no worries, skits, no worries. If anyone wants to jump in, I'm just chilling. But these pants are definitely molding into something that I absolutely am falling in love with. So yeah, I need to clean my Husqvarna Viking because it is my most dependable machine, and it's really starting to miss stitches and throw stitches, and all it needs is a really good deep cleaning, which is basically just taking the head off, taking out the bobbin, the incomplete bobbin assembly, and cleaning everything inside of it. Thank you, butterfly on my wall. Thank you. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be moving, and it's not even because of anything too political. It's just because I live in paradise in a really good area, but Los Angeles in general has just kind of fallen by the wayside. It's kind of turned into it's not necessarily the greatest place to live anymore. And everybody stands around pointing the fingers at each other, but LA has just kind of fallen apart. But I would say most major cities have at this point. All right. So let's see if I can find oh, that's glitching out. So we'll back up on that for a minute. So I also have this. I have not finished it yet. I put it in my video because upcycling is how I started, like my channel, how I started everything. And I still have not finished. This is the meaning of procrastination right here. In my UFO video, I was trying to expose myself for all the unfinished objects I had, but I didn't realize how many I really had. And I like every week I always say like, "Oh, started another overambitious project." So, speaking of which, you know, making a coat is not necessarily the easiest thing in the world. Every week I come out and I'm like, oh, I made a coat. I made a coat. It's because I stayed up all night because I couldn't sleep. It is not easy making a coat, not necessarily. Lining a coat is, I wouldn't say it's the hardest part. See, I still haven't even cut the pieces off of here yet. It's not necessarily the lining, it's just lining each piece. You do it intricate piece by piece, then you have to completely edge it or use a serger, which my Franken serger actually gets used in all my projects. But I feel like people on YouTube, sometimes they make things look easy. Like even when I fix sewing machines, sometimes like I have quite a few failures in this room as well. Quite a few. Like the brother that I just recently purchased, I completely got it together. It was firing on all cylinders. I put the case back on, everything was working, and then it started sewing backwards. I still don't know how, I still don't know what I did. I have to completely backtrack now and troubleshoot everything that I was doing because I don't know where I went wrong. And I mean, the sewing machine sews backwards. And if you hit reverse, it goes the way it's supposed to. So I completely crossed something. There was something that I did, and that's the funny thing about rescuing sewing machines is that some of them are complete duds. Complete duds. Like my Elna grasshopper, I don't know if I'll ever get that thing to sew. I don't know. It's so caked with crud. It's has so much stuff in it. I don't even know if it's worth it or if it's just a beautiful sewing machine. But it was so caked with machine oil that it became black and it started it literally became like glue. And it seems like no matter what I do to clean it out, it doesn't work. It's one of those funny things. Like I said, no one sends me a message until I start live streaming. And also something I think that people that sew on YouTube never talk about is the iron they use. Or the fact that I use an iron for everything. I just don't show it because it's repetitive and it's boring, you know? It's one of those things like, but did you know irons are actually extremely expensive? I have an old Hamilton Beach that I've had forever. And I dropped it. I dropped it like a child. It was like, oh, when it fell on the floor, it was bad. It was bad. So I purchased another Hamilton Beach. You know, I'm so stuck in the past. I love all my retro stuff that I am so easily entertained by this. Well, of course it didn't work because I did it on a live stream, but I think this $80 iron is amazing. And for 80 bucks, I will not drop this thing. I will not. It's been a while. It's been a while since I bought an iron because I have so much stuff in this room, you know. Which leads me to my second thing. When I do move, I have crazy plans for my new sewing room. But I sadly think I have to get a second storage unit. I am a real life hoarder. Like when you guys see me on the show Hoarders, hear what I'm saying now. Like I put myself there. I will be that sad guy over the trash can. Like, no, you can't throw away that Life magazine from 1964, even though I wasn't alive in 1964. It's one of the it's one of those funny things, which leads me back to not getting rid of the sewing Susan, all of that stuff I had. I think a lot of people would have thrown that away, you know. But oh, let me grab it. Let me grab it. A lot of this stuff was oh, speaking of Texas butterfly on my wall, this tin was from my grandmother's house. This thing is older than me, but you know, doesn't take much to be. But this is an awesome tin, and I'll show it off again, but it has sewing Susans from 1964 in here, and my grandmother made all of these. So, you know, anything that I found that she made, I kept all of it. and her 1950 headbands. I end up looking like a Ninja Turtle when I put these on, but these are epic. These are epic. See, I end up looking like a Ninja Turtle. You know, it's Skid Scratcher. You're not kidding. That's why I'm kind of dreading like today. That's why I'm gonna get a second storage unit because I've been going through it and I'm like, holy cow. I've amassed in just a year, I've amassed 50 something sewing machines. I thought I've peaked 60, but I'm at 59. For some reason I thought I had way more, but it's because I've sold quite a few. I do resell the antique ones because people want those. I kind of have a boyish crush on the mid 1990s sewing machines. So, like I said, I can't stop buying those things. And I don't even know why after a while. Yeah, a lot of these, like, these are straight from the 1950s. Oh, see, I look like a Ninja Turtle when I put these on, but this is hilarious. But, you know, I'm one of those people who just does not get rid of these things. I'm sincerely thinking about opening the Godless Sewing Museum because I have like cameras literally from the Kodak A up until modern day cameras. I have the old, I don't know, are they 8mm from the 1960s? Like all kinds of crazy stuff. I was kind of an oops baby, so I come from a really older established family. So I definitely inherited all their junk. Because really, in the end, when you see someone with a lot of stuff, like I didn't go out and buy some of this stuff. I made most of it, except for the flags. Like everything in here I made. But all like a lot of the stuff I have, I inherited. And then sentiment kicks in, and then you're a hoarder. Liz, you're laughing, but you're going to be giving interviews on the show Hoarders. They're going to come looking for you. And they say, what happened to William? What at what point did William go crazy? But yeah, Skid Scratcher, you're not kidding. But I own a Ford truck. I have 2 Ford trucks. So I can pack quite a few stuff in there. And the funny thing is when you own a truck, like it's a one of the trucks I own is a 1988 F-150. It has an 10-foot bed on it. You know, it's huge. So I can fit all kinds of sewing machines in that thing. But I was gonna do something drastic and move to Arizona because I used to live in Arizona, but I'm not necessarily somebody who likes to backtrack the past, you know? So I was thinking about somewhere I don't know, I'm looking somewhere peaceful. I can wear my cowboy hat and dress like a hillbilly. Feel free in the comments to let me know where I can live in peace, driving my old beater truck with my cowboy hat on. And LA no longer reflects that, and that's okay. Central California is nothing but farmland. So if I go over the hill, like I'll blend in with everybody else, you know. But it's one of those funny things where I don't know where I should live. Well, I have options, but I'm definitely going to be moving in the next couple of months. Now, see, you guys got me thinking now. I wanted to live in Arizona, but I don't know if I could take Arizona. I lived in NorCal with my everyone else's. You know what's okay? So, full disclosure, butterfly on my wall. Your state will eventually turn blue because I know over 40 people that have moved just from my hometown to Texas. And a friend of mine, She, property value is different in California than it is in Texas. She bought a castle. She put it on Facebook, and I'm nosy. I'm like, I don't believe you. Walk around your house, do a live. She bought a castle for the same price as my 3-bedroom house. So you're right. Everyone is moving to Texas. There's like this great California exodus to Texas for some reason. It's the old schoolers though, because I'm not going to get too much into politics, but people have. So I was raised by old schoolers, so I understand um, the old school values. And California isn't for everyone. It's not for the faint of heart. It's true, Liz. She bought like a 9-bedroom house. My uncle moved to Arizona and he was buying castles. He bought like a 6 or 7 bedroom house for the same price that you would of, like a 3-bedroom house in California. So it is crazy right now. And like I said, I have quite a few friends that have moved out of my hometown to Texas. Because where I live, it's still Los Angeles County, but like I work on a ranch. It's still a lot of unincorporated land around here. So you do get people that actually drive tractors, wear cowboy hats for a reason. But I don't know if Texas and I would get along though. I do like steak. Texas isn't that far of a stretch. I lived in Arizona. Yikes. 20 Yikes, 22 years ago. Yeah, around there. I lived in Arizona 22 years ago, and Arizona, even back then, it was not for the faint of heart, but it was Phoenix. I lived in Mesa, and that entire area has exploded. People, they can't afford to live here anymore, and I do not blame them. Do if I did move to Texas, I would tell everyone I'm from Arizona, though. Because people, whenever I show my California ID and I'm out of state, people give me a hard time. Not in a bad way, not like they're not like throwing my ID on the floor or anything, but they definitely give me a hard time for it. I don't. I have some really bad habits that I don't think are legal in Texas. You know it though, pot, like, and I'm gonna say this as a grown adult, like I could move somewhere and not smoke pot. That's not the issue. I could easily move somewhere and stop smoking. But it's just kinder when you live somewhere where it's legal. That's all. And I don't know. Maybe I should move to Texas. You are right, though. Right now is the great California exodus. It kind of started with people in San Jose, weirdly moving to Nevada, and it's kind of snowballed from there. And quite honestly, I don't blame people. It's not what it used to be. I, like everybody else, I have a Twitter addiction, and I watch videos about the New York subway. Do you know? Oh, you shouldn't have said that. I mean, you're gonna hear an 18-wheeler with all with all my stuff in it. And, um, but like I've been watching a lot of crazy stuff in New York, and I'm like, wow, I don't think I would. I have a cousin who lives in New York, and he's like, oh, come to New York, and I'm like, I don't think I could handle living in New York. Plus, I have a 13-year-old son, and I have to think about what school district is he going to go to? He needs to go to somewhere where it's a decent school. And I want him to have an actual high school experience because the COVID generation my son's missed 3, almost 4 years of human interaction because he's been homeschooled that long. So next year, I definitely want him to have the high school experience. And that's one of the reasons why I'm pushing the move right now in the middle of junior high. And he's homeschooled, so it's not like we would be leaving much. Wow. Texas shut me up so fast. I Because people talk about red states, blue states. I lived in Arizona, and quite honestly, I couldn't tell the difference. Hey, Robert X, how's it going? How's it going? I know that you're on the other side of the planet. No, I definitely I've lived in red states and I can't tell the difference but that's because you take yourself with you. You know, I'm not necessarily one of those people that gets involved in local politics until it's really bad. Like when I was a kid, we tried to stop I was all idealistic and we tried to stop a landfill. And I learned politics real quick that money talks and hippies walk. I don't know where I should move to. I think I have nostalgia for Arizona because I lived there and I did a lot of amazing, really cool things in Arizona. So it's one of those funny things. Ah, so what should I do? Should I finish this? I have so many stands in here. It's ridiculous. Or I should probably finish my patchwork. I bet my Ford truck would blend in Texas. The one thing that people one of the biggest misnomers about California is that most of California is farmland. So we do have a lot of hillbillies and a lot of I love it when people say I live by that butterfly on my wall. I absolutely live by that. Always be yourself and keep sewing. That's why I always say reinforce your seams and always be yourself. Those are like rules to live by, especially as someone who sews a lot. Like reinforcing your seams helps. But you're right. It's all about being your authentic self. But that's part of the problem that I'm running into nowadays is that I'm in my 40s. I've become like Sugarland and Houston are actually pretty nice, I think. A lot of people I know are moving to Austin. A lot of people I know. Actually, 10 out of that 40 have moved to Austin. It's the weirdest thing. It's the reverse invasion, you know. How many years ago did everybody it was like the second gold rush, what, in the 50s when everyone was moving to the suburbs. I love nostalgia, so I watch the old commercials and it'll say, move to the San Fernando Valley, move to picturesque Hollywood. And they just show seas of suburbs that either don't exist or now are in just giant conglomerate cities now. So I guess it's the exodus in the opposite direction. It's funny how that works. And as someone who lives in a transitional city, I don't have a problem with people. I know a lot of people that tell people like, get out of LA. You're not from here. Like, we need people from all around the world here. We do. It makes the place more exciting. And when I went out in the real world, being from Los Angeles, I would eat almost anything because we have restaurants from anywhere around the world here. Like, I love Filipino food, Armenian food. If you've never had Armenian food, they get down. I love, like I said, Filipino food, Thai food. Like, in LA, Thai foods are literally on every corner, but when I went out into the rest of America, it wasn't necessarily like that. But people are invading Texas from California and Nevada as well. And in my research recently, because I'm really looking, I'm really gonna get out of this area. And I was shocked on how sparsely populated Nevada is, which I understand. Nevada is like Australia. It's really hot in the middle. I get it. But I was really shocked. Alexa, what's the population of the entire state of Nevada?
According to the 2020 U.S. Census, The population of Nevada is 3.1 million people, which is a 15% increase over the 2010 U.S. Census.
3.1 million people. Okay, so 3.1 in the entire state. Alexa, how many people live in the state of California?
According to the 2020 U.S. Census, the population of California is 39.5 million people, which is a 6.1% increase over the 2010 U.S. Census.
Do you know we've gained almost 10 million? 39 million people. That's more than all of Australia. That's more than in all of Canada. I know that's more than all of Canada. It was amazing to me how many people do not live in the state of Nevada. I was actually shocked. I wanted to move there, but they have one of the worst school systems in America. And this is all according to the internet, you know. If you live in Nevada, I'm not trying to insult you. You have 3 million people that live there. But I was kind of shocked to find out how sparsely populated Nevada is. And that's the thing about America is like when you see those maps, land doesn't vote. It's not land. It's the people that vote. But what I know, I live in a place where there's people, wall-to-wall people everywhere. Like I said, I was gonna move to Arizona, but I think a lot of it was just nostalgia. And I have family that live there and they're miserable. So why would I go there and be miserable? But that's the thing, to a Californian, you can move somewhere and buy a castle, like I was saying, because of the prices. You know, excuse me, in the desert by my house, they are literally renting out RVs for $1,000 a month. That's how crazy rent in California is, you know? So, butterfly on my wall, if you're still there, I have a question. Do you have fabric stores everywhere? And do they sell fabric in Canada has less than a half of the population of Germany. But that's what I'm saying. Like I was so shocked to find out how sparsely populated certain states in America are. But before I lose the thought, do you have fabric stores everywhere? And do they sell fabric in Walmart like they do here in California? Just a Texas question. Because I truly think it's the floor plan or what year your Walmart was built, you know. But having a place where I can buy cheap fabric has saved my sewing career. And it's the same stuff. Like I said, it's the same stuff they have at Joann's and stuff. It's the same stuff. Canada has less than half. So, Alexa, what's the population of Germany?
In 2020, the population of Germany was 83.8 million people.
Wow. That's a lot of people that live in Germany. That's a lot of people. That's more than in Nevada where they have 3 million people. I was shocked. Do they have fabric stores everywhere in where you live, Robert X? I would imagine that people sew. I bet some of the best made sewing machines in the world come from where you live. These pants are gonna be awesome when I'm finished with them. Yes, we have fabric stores everywhere. We have chain individual stores also, like cities. What? No, come here, square mile. Yeah. Very true. Very true, Robert X. Butterfly on my wall. You should work for the Texas Tour Board. You're slowly selling it to me. But I eat avocados and vote Democrat. I don't know. I'm kidding. I just won't say it out loud. Oh, that's funny. You have fashion districts. Yeah, I'm actually thinking about going down there. That's why I made that comment about how unsafe Hollywood has become, because downtown Los Angeles is just as scary. And you know what? It's really sad because I lived there within the last 20 years. Dallas has a great fabric district. Oh, you have hockey too. That's part of my requirements too. Dallas has hockey too. It's a weird requirement where I have to live near a hockey stadium so I can randomly go scream in the stands every once in a while. The LA Fashion District, I'm definitely gonna go down there during Christmas because they have great deals. And I bought a roll of pleather that lasted me like 8 years. Oh, Rubber X, thank you. Thank you. Oh, there's some beautiful old people in Texas. Oh, that's so funny. I was thinking about moving to Oklahoma, but then it's just me watching the Tiger King too many times. That's all. Let's see how this patch is coming along. Darn. It's the weirdest thing how people are. It's like the grand exodus to Texas. Which is really ironic. You know what's funny? The world is different than what people say on Twitter or Facebook. You know, it's just different. But if you went according to the internet, it's one of the scariest places on earth. I actually got pulled over 9 times driving through Utah. And I drove from my hometown to Brownsville, Texas. And the only thing I had to do was drink a bunch of coffee because that's a long drive from California to Brownsville, Texas. That's back when we had actual comprehensive immigration laws. It's a long story, but someone I know got caught on the border, and I went and picked them up because they were a family member. And like, if someone and these are old laws, but if somebody was a minor, they would call a family member and be like, "Hey, if you can afford to have this guy, they can stay in America." And so my ex-wife's brother and I drove to Texas, and it was an uneventful drive. When I drove through Utah, like, and you know, the cop flat out told me it's my California plates was the excuse, you know, but and in California, we have really high speed limits, so we drive like NASCAR here. It is unreal. But Texas does pass scary laws. But if you think about it, the state of California 2 months ago legalized slavery. Do you know slavery was on the ballot in 13 different states in America, and it was up for vote in California, and the people voted it down, but the legislators basically said that if you get arrested in the state of California, you are property. You're a slave. I really want you to think about that. So if you can harp on certain states all you want, but in the state of California, when you get arrested, your 13th Amendment is suspended, and they're going to make you work. And I recently know somebody that did almost like 10 years in a fire camp, and they got out of jail and went right and ended up going right back. They went back to the fire camp, and then they got in a high-speed chase 2 weeks ago, and they're not around anymore, you know? So California is just as dangerous as anywhere else and has crazy laws like anywhere else. We're just liberal with everything else. But if you get caught and you go to jail, you're literally a slave. So there's pluses and negatives in every single state. Let's see how this patch is coming along. I don't know. Should I add a different color to this? The blue and the white. The blue really pops, but should I add another color? I'm so rusty at live streaming. You know, it's so funny. I bought this camera on Cyber Monday a year ago, and here we are. I don't know. Should I add another color? I might. Did anybody participate in any of the Black Friday sales or Cyber Monday? I bought a few patches and so full disclosure, my son has autism, and people with disabilities follow mass movements. They'll fall into something. It's something you have, and anytime you have a child, you have to watch out for what your child's into, and I encourage my son to be into politics. I laugh how he's like very conservative, but he wanted a Ron DeSantis flag, so I bought him one. And shocker, it was on sale. So Ron DeSantis, you need to step your game up because your flag was on sale. And they had a bunch of them in stock. I was, for anyone who knows the reference, like I was a bit of a Michael P. Keaton in my family. I definitely went the exact opposite of my parents just to drive them crazy, and it worked. So I don't even flinch when my child has crazy political views or anything like that. It's California. I agree with you, butterfly on my wall. I used to say that about San Francisco. San Francisco was the most peaceful place on planet Earth. It was the kindest place on planet Earth. Then it turned into a war zone. And LA has turned into that too. Like it's even at the beach, it's not chill anymore. And that's weird to me because I used to park my car, keep my shoes in my car and walk around on the beach for hours, and you really can't do that anymore cuz someone, if they think you're vulnerable, they'll break your window. My mom told me a story about how a friend of hers who was 80 years old got her purse snatched and dragged in broad daylight. She was at the grocery store, you know? So it's just so sad what's happened to this place. And I don't even know who to blame anymore. And I'm right of that age where I'm like, no, I gotta go. I can't because eventually if you stand around waiting, like watching chaos, excuse me, eventually it'll come towards you, you know? And human beings are much more short fused nowadays. And you know what? People have reason to be, but it's not okay to take it out on anybody. And I'm the pot calling the kettle black, but it's not okay to take out what you're going through on other people. So I think it's definitely time to to vacate California. Not necessarily yeah, it's time to vacate. And also we have weird laws that protect the assailant. Where in other places, if you do something, you go to jail, In California, it doesn't work that way. But like I said, I'm not trying to get too much into politics. I'm more on the happy side of moving and dealing with my hoarding. And like, this closet. Let's see if I can. This is my closet. This is where I go and hide. I put my fancy chair in there so I can sit in there and sew. I have my computer so I can sit and watch hockey or YouTube or whatever. But in this room is wall to wall stuff. Pikachu is sitting on a grandfather clock, and that's a real one from my grandmother's house. But everything else is just stacks of clothes. And over the past couple of months, I've been donating a lot of stuff. Thank you, butterfly on my wall. I think that's just it's the anxiety of it, but I got to do it while I still can afford to. So I'm really not worried about it, but it's like the other day I was walking through the Goodwill and I was like, "Oh man, if I'm moving, I don't want to buy that much more stuff." Cuz you know, and the one thing I like about donating, there are certain charities that I give to that I know are going to go straight to people in need. Because one of the things is I want a closet like that for all my dresses and skeletons. You know what's so funny? I actually have a skeleton that's hidden to the left of that chair, but there's just so many pairs of pants there that the skeleton's covered up. It's one of those funny things where I like every time I look in that closet, I'm like, I have upcycled every single one of those. If it's denim, it has a patch on it. And it makes me laugh because from 2020, when we all sat at home up until now, I've gained quite a few pounds. So I'll try something on and I'm like, ooh, this is from 2019. I can just tell. I can just tell when this is from. And I've gained it in the 40 way where instead of going this way, I'm just starting to go this way, you know? But I've been donating a lot of clothes. And in Los Angeles, there is a never-ending need of supplies for homeless people. So I know that it's going to go directly to people who need it, and that's the important thing. It's, you know, a lot of people virtue signal, and a lot of people will say like, "Oh, they'll take a picture of themselves donating and stuff." Like, no, I put it in one video just to show the stack of clothes, but I'm not here to get a pat on the back. I think as human beings, we should help each other. And it's not even one of those weird cliche things. You know, the world would just be a better place if we were if we helped each other instead of judging each other pointlessly. And I still have John Lennon stuck in my head earlier from when I was talking to Doc Fearsome. Okay, so I do this all the time. Oh, there it is. I thought I misplaced this sewing needle. All right, let me switch this back. I think my hat would definitely blend in Texas. And I know it's already going to be a yes, but are there giant quilting shows like there are here in California? Because quilting conventions aren't just about quilting. They have some of the greatest sewing machines that I've ever seen, some of the most technologically advanced sewing machines, you know, new technology when it comes to just sewing in general. So I love going to conventions. Which reminds me, January is coming, so I need to look at the convention schedule. You know, it's so funny and cliche when people say, "Oh, where did the year go?" But this year has truly flown by. I definitely need a sewing convention. I love the reaction when I walk in. Everybody's really curious. I love it. I absolutely love going to sewing conventions. Even I love it when I'm sitting on the floor at Joann's and I'm going through all the patterns. Oh, like I had to dig to find this one. I had to absolutely dig. But I love it when I'm sitting on the floor with all the patterns and someone turns the corner and they see me sitting there and they're like, "What is this guy doing in here?" What it's usually because they can see the top of my hat, but I absolutely love that look of shock on people's face. Or like when I'll walk up with fabric and I'll always get a new person who tries to explain it to me and I'm like, "Hey kid, just give me 8 yards of that, 4 yards of this, and no lip." I love it. I give them a hard time. I absolutely love it. They either think I'm lost or new to sewing. I love it. More at like Joann's and stuff like that. More at the mega store because I'm well known on my side of town. But I'm more of a consumer. So chat, do you guys participate in Christmas? I do for the consumer side. It's that time of year where I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool. I'm gonna buy this, or oh, wow, I've been saving up for this. I could justify buying that. It's one of those things. Houston has the largest and biggest one in Halloween weekend. Big one on Dallas too. Individual cities have their awesome. I I absolutely love going to conventions. It's more or less it's the atmosphere too, because you're surrounded by people who love what you're doing and speak the same language as you. And once people get over the initial shock, I always end up having the time of my life. I went to oh not gosh, it's funny how my point of reference always stops before 2020. I went like 3 years ago before 2020 and had just time of my life. Absolutely time of my life. And because of my Las Vegas obsession, hey, look at the trees. The link's in the chat if you want to hop in. I'm just sewing and ranting. My other channel didn't take off, so I'm doing this here. No, I'm just sewing, talking about life. And this patch is coming along perfect. I'm eventually gonna, I don't know. I want to see if I have a dark blue in my grandma tin of sin, what I call it. I think because I grew up around sewists, I am one of those people who jump at tins because I buy large amounts of stuff from thrift stores and from swap meets and stuff. It is sad though when you see someone sewing supplies because they probably passed away because they're not just going to let it go. It is sad though. But as somebody who used to buy lockers, I had to stop doing that because that was the saddest business. Like I would buy storage lockers and sell a lot of the stuff in it. And after a while, you end up you're just someone's life is just destroyed. Especially if you see their family pictures in there. It's just, I'm not one for the vulture jobs. I tried, but it's not necessarily for me. But back to conventions, I absolutely love sewing conventions. We always talk about community, and it's funny how something like that will bring people together from complete polar opposites, completely different walks of life. That's the one thing I love about sewing is that it's universal. I follow a bunch of people in Japan, and I don't speak Japanese, but I watch all their stuff. Yes, actually, Christmas is pretty big here too. A lot of my XM festivals, and people already have their decorations. So I here in California, I put my lights up on Saturday. I put my lights up. I did. Because it's it's so funny. It's keeping up with the Joneses. I'm not even going to sit here in front. It is literally, I'm doing it because everyone else in my neighborhood is, and I don't want to be like that. The one scary house. It's really sad, but true. But I will say, where I live, people aren't necessarily the most political, so they really wouldn't care either way. But it's needless to say, Christmas is huge here in California. People go crazy. They've, at my local Walmart, Halloween and Thanksgiving do not exist on this side of town. Right around Halloween, they start what do they do? They literally put out Christmas. Literally, they had outhouse Santa out with the Halloween stuff. I work estate sales. Yep, I work the sewing machines and the sewing stuff. I really get to know the person who passed through the sewing. So, Butterfly My Wall, you have brought up such a good point. I want to show you something the difference of people who smoked and didn't smoke. Let's see if I can reach it. So this machine is from somebody. Let me take this down. You know, that is I need to start going to estate sales. This machine right here was not smoked around, okay? This is a late 80s machine. It's still white. It still has the color, okay? Oh. This is the exact same model that came out of a table of someone who smoked, and it's yellow. This is yellow. And a lot of the time when I buy sewing machines, I'll turn them on and it smells like cigarettes, especially the 1950s and the like when you get to like, I have sewing machines from 1910 up. Yeah, from 1910, and then the white rotary is from World War I, so that's 1914. I have a few. I have quite a few from 1990 for some weird reason, and they were making a lot of sewing machines, but they smell like smoke. And I'm not talking about like oh, there's an electrical problem. Like no, you could say, oh, they smoked Camels for 50 years around this thing. But this makes me laugh because I grew up in a smoker house, like in the old school 1980s, 1990s, and so people don't smoke inside anymore. So when I see stuff like this, it brings me back to my childhood, you know, because if someone hangs around anything and just smokes and smokes and smokes, it dies. It changed the color. It literally turns it yellow. I still laugh. My which one was it? It was I can't remember now. It's a 1960s Singer. Oh, it's my Singer Genie. It smelled so bad like smoke there. And I smoke. I put that thing outside. It smelled like someone's grandma was sitting in my sewing room. It was bad. And when I first like started learning the value of sewing machines, and when I bought that Singer Genie, I was like, wow, I scored. It's an older machine. I plugged that thing in and I was smoking a cigarette. And spoiler, I quit smoking cigarettes 5 years ago. And you know what? Like I said, as someone who grew up around smokers, like my father's old truck, he smoked pipe tobacco. I could get in that thing right now. He passed away like 3 or 4 years ago. It still smells like pipe tobacco in the weirdest way. Certain smells get entrenched in vehicles or, well, on anything, you know. Smoking is, don't smoke. If you hear that cackle, don't smoke. Talking to anyone under 40, quit now, save yourself. Or anyone over 40, smoke more, you're screwed. No, I'm kidding. But when you buy things from people, like Butterfly My Ball was saying, like you never know the condition. When I got my Singer 301A, which I didn't know was like a coveted sewing machine. I wanted a 401 because my father had one. But when I got my 301A, it still came in the box. It was brand new. And that machine is from the 40s, I believe. I think it's from the 40s, and it looked brand new because the person who had the machine took such good care of it. In a sewing group on Facebook, I was almost booted out for showing pictures of sewing machines with stickers on them. I triggered quite a few people. And you know, when you deal with zealots, people will have opinions on things, you know. So I don't necessarily get offended when someone's like, "Are you crazy? You put a sticker on a." I intend to keep these sewing machines for these certain sewing machines forever, you know. And when I'm gone, it won't be my problem about it having a sticker on it. But it made me laugh how hardcore sewing machine collectors are. Like, if you look, I haven't necessarily put stickers on any of my old, like really old singers, because I do resell them, but like on my Husqvarna Viking right there, like I covered that thing in stickers. It's from 2019. But it just makes me laugh how purists, it's the internet, so people have opinions on everything. But I almost got excommunicated by a bunch of people in their 80s because they didn't like the young man who was putting the blasphemous young man who was putting stickers on a sewing machine. It's funny how that ends up. I don't know which project to finish. I have so many going on. It's not even funny. I guess I'll finish. Oh, now that we have more people here, the whole reason I even started this stream in the first place. Oh, Goof. Goof is my middle name. Goof. That's Godless Goof Sewing. So, let's see. What should I do? I have 4 yards. And the color is being washed out because I have studio lights in here, but it's black, green, and I think those are leopards. Trash me in the comments if they're not leopards. Trash me. I should know by now. But I don't know what I should make. I have this really cool pattern of like suit jackets, but I don't know if they're hokey or if they're real. I'll grab the pattern. Oh, I recently purchased this pattern, and I was thinking about making one of these cheesy jackets. But I think it's just because these guys look goofy in the picture. It's because but these jackets are legit, So I was thinking about making a suit coat out of this, because let's be real, I've made like 5 coats, 6 coats. I'm pretty covered for winter. So I think I need to branch out and make this hammer pants. Let's take a second to talk about why I love hammer pants so much, because I'm of that age and I remember that era. And the older I get, if I had a time machine, I would go back when everybody was see butterfly on my wall. Like, I'm all about crazy patterns, and it was on super sale. So I was like, I have to make something nutso out of this, because I've already made quite a few coats. I have a billion koofies. Dude, I've made everything I can. So I'm really thinking about making a suit jacket with this. But like, I've fallen in love with this pattern. I love goofy patterns. But not all of them are winners, because my Hawaii print was a complete flop. I got this at my thrift store, and it's cut, I think it was like on a table or something, but it's cut so strange that I don't know what to do with it. I made the arms on my ugly undershirt with it. Hey, Gen X, Oista. Ooh, I like trench coat. You know what? That's not a bad idea. I actually really like the trench coat idea. I own a pea coat and like a wannabe pea coat, and I love that look. A trench coat. I've been watching a lot of the old Sherlock Holmes, so trench coat is a great idea. I'm down for a trench coat. That's not a bad idea. I now have the cheesy Sherlock Holmes theme going through my skull right now. But this Hawaii print was kind of like it was kind of like a challenge to me because it's been a long time since I've purposely like made something ugly, and that shirt was ugly. I am man enough to admit it. It was ugly. It was so ugly, I almost didn't finish it. But I was like, no, you started this. It's your size. You might as well wear it. A leopard trench coat. That just sounds amazing. That just sounds like, that's not a bad idea. When I saw the jacket and shorts combo on this one, I was like, you know what? I wear crazy stuff like that anyways. I dress like I'm Tubbs from Miami Vice sometimes. So that's why I wanted to, I might go get a flamenco print like that and dress like Tubbs, like it's 1986. That's not a bad idea. Gen X Oista, you always come through with great ideas. I'm still gonna make overalls, but I haven't found a material yet that I like am comfortable with because I wear coveralls and overalls all the time at my job. And you should have seen the look on people's face when I came in wearing that. I don't know what that print was. Was it daisies? I don't know if I have much of it laying around, but I made a nose. I was going for grease lightning, but it did not come out grease lightning. But I made coveralls. Well, they're not coveralls with no sleeves, and they were perfect. But I wore them to work, and people were like, "Are you lost?" Driving a tractor with giant poppies on your coveralls gets you a look. Will definitely get you a look. Trench coat is not a bad idea at all. I'm still working on that crazy patchwork jacket, but let me go get the book before I talk about it. But I'm on this weird kick where I'm gonna make a Joseph coat, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's because I saw Jesus Christ Superstar when I was like 9 or 10 years old at the Crystal Cathedral in good old Los Angeles, California. So I am like obsessed with and all Joseph's coat was just like a really flashy coat in a drabby world, if you really think about it. Like when I walk around with my patches on, I stick out. So I can imagine wearing color. Yes, they are poppy overalls. I can imagine wearing color in a drabby world, But let me go get my book. In my travels, I recently, like within the past like 2 months, I purchased this book, and I love American's Glorious Quilt has become my good book. So if I'm ever like, hey, would you like me to read from the good book? Don't worry. It's just a bunch of pictures of quilts. But I was thinking there's some, and I won't even lie, like I steal these old designs. Like I'm like, wow, that's crazy. So I'm like, I'm gonna recreate that, especially when I'm upcycling something, because you can combine all kinds of different stuff. But let's see if we could see it. There it is. I'm sincerely thinking about making a coat. The colors aren't translating because I have hardcore lighting in here, but I'm thinking about making a Joseph coat. I'm like, and I'm still working on the other crazy design coat. It's somewhere in this mess. I pulled out a bunch of stuff, so it's it's a huge mess in here. But I'm sincerely thinking about making a coat like this. Like I am sincerely. Oh, Robert X, thank you. Thank you. But I and it is for for pure blasphemous reasons, but like I think it would be hilarious to walk around. Thank you, Robert X. Thank you. Um, I'm definitely gonna make a coat like this. I don't know. It's become I find these weird projects that I like slowly will obsess over, and this is doable. I just need to purchase some like yellow, green, and blue because I think I have pretty much every other color on that. But that would be a hilarious coat. Godless sewing in the Technicolor coat. I already know the title of the video. But I love this the America's Glorious Quilts. I've fallen in love with this book. The day I found this was a glorious day. I think it's the 80s hair. Let's be real. It's the hair, it's the coat, it's the look on her face. She's like stoked. She's like, "Yeah, I made a patchwork jacket." Look at that. I love odd patterns like that. Like I do so like I am a simplicity stan. I have a ton of really old butt tricks, but they're like my grandma's old patterns. I'm scared to take those things out of the package. They're so old. But I love these goofy patterns. I absolutely fall in love with these goofy patterns. And the second I saw it, I was like, oh, this fits the Godless Sewing channel. This fits. And to think someone actually had to sit down and map out each piece of this coat. That's love and dedication. I agree. Do you know I am weirdly nostalgic? I don't know if it's because I dress I have this weird dress code. I dress like Fred Sanford, AC Slater, and Val Kilmer now. But it makes me laugh when someone will bring a style back because I always say, like, if you bring a style back, you're probably not old enough to remember it. Like when people started bringing slap bracelets back, I'm like, hey, I remember those. Like, what are you talking about? uh, it's one of those hilarious things about style is so reciprocal. That's why I made that video about Janko jeans. You know, I I was at a thrift store one day and there was just a group of kids. There's always the plucky teenagers at the thrift store. And hey, kudos to them because they know how to shop. But I started noticing the kids were wearing Jankos again. And it brought me back. Like when I saw people rocking flat tops again. I know I haven't had hair since there was a 19 in front of the year. But I was kind of shocked when people started rocking flat tops again. It's one of those funny things. And I do go out of my way to find like crazy things from the 80s to make. Because let's be real. Like if you look at a car nowadays, it has like cars have a uniform look. If you looked at cars 40, 50 years ago, every manufacturer had a different car. They had their standard sedan, but every single manufacturer had a different car. And clothes have kind of turned into that, where things have become kind of bland and gray and it's a mediocre world. And I'm not talking trash about the hoodies and but I think wearing sweats every day is giving up on life. Try a denim jacket pattern. Joseph coat. That would be, you know what? There's a denim store in Hollywood. That's where I got my pink denim. That's where I got my orange denim, red denim. That's not a bad idea. There's a place in Hollywood where they literally sell denim by the bale. You can get pallets of denim, or if you're brave enough, you could climb in there and take out whatever you want, and they sell it by the pound. You totally reminded me of something. Do you know I have music going on in the background so much? It's strange for me it's strange to be quiet in here. But I didn't put buttons on this one. The other one's in the closet, but I made this from pants. This is a vest that I made a while ago, but everything is made from different pairs of pants. I absolutely love this vest. I wear it all the time because I love that question. I love that inevitable question where someone's like, "Where'd you get that?" And I'm like, "I made this." I absolutely love that. That's like lately when I've been walking around with my sweatshirts, someone will always say, "Where did you get that?" And I'm like, "Simplicity Pattern R11 407." But it's a good feeling when people appreciate what you do, you know, because I dress like a scary biker all the time. So it makes me laugh when people are like, "I love your coat. I love your coat." You know, that brings me to I made a video about it a while ago, but whenever I'm standing in line and I'm purchasing a sewing machine, every once in a while someone will walk up to me and they're like, "What are you going to do with that?" And I always tell them, I always have some smart ass answer. I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to use it as a boat anchor." Or I'll give them the Big Lebowski answer where I'm like, "Oh, apparently you're not a golfer." I say that I get that inevitable question from someone like, "What are you going to do with that?" What do you think I'm going to do with it? You know, Liz, I hope you're staying safe out there in Portland. I used to live out there. It was one of the most peaceful places on earth, and now it's turned into Gotham City. But yeah, so far trench coat. I like that idea. That's not a bad idea. Because the suit jacket was kind of cheesy, but it's not necessarily something that I'm going to wear all the time. That's why I keep on making coats, because it's something that's like for as crazy as I am, I try to be practical. Like I try to do things within reason, you know. And so because of that, I try to make things that I actually wear. A long time ago on Instagram, someone asked me, they're like, "Do you wear this crazy stuff?" And another person replied, they were like, "Yeah, I live near him." I didn't even know this person, but they had spotted me and they spotted the clothes on Instagram. They're like, "Wait a minute." Yeah, I wear almost every piece. And like I said earlier, I outgrow quite a few. I eventually have outgrown quite a few because I've been sewing for so long. So I've outgrown quite a few pieces. I can't. So in my last video, I had a fabric haul. I had everything there, and I did not put it in my video. That's the whole reason I'm doing this live right now. It's because for some reason, I thought I had it in there, but it's not. And I love these goofy, crazy prints, you know, because I try not to buy prints that are how should I put this? There are certain prints that I won't wear because I think they're insensitive. Let's just say it. Let's just say it that way. Or it's so outside of my culture, it would be almost insensitive if I wore something like that, because I try to respect other people's culture. And I have a rule, like if you haven't been there, don't wear the jersey, you know. So I try to respect people's culture. But with that being said, I love this crazy print. You know what? And trench coat is actually um easy to make. Well, like I said, if anyone on YouTube says it's easy, see right now, got my standard. Are you security? Yeah, the PDX has become crazy. It's so sad to see what Portland has turned into. So sad. I have very fond memories of living in Portland and literally falling asleep on the river reading a book and my shoes still being there when I woke up. I absolutely miss those days, but that place doesn't exist anymore. Really sad. It's really sad. Liz, there's sewing conventions in Portland. I know there is because when I lived down there, I worked in the downtown Portland area. That's actually where I saw Richard Dawkins and Chris Hitchens and them walking around. I didn't go in. Are swap meets flea markets a good place for buying fabric in LA? Yes, and it depends on it. Like, so in LA, you have to know your price, and if you know what it's worth, you won't get ripped off. But you could walk up to something and someone will quote you $40 for the same thing that they're selling to somebody else for $20. So it's all about where you go. But like if you were to go to the fashion district in downtown LA, it's overwhelming. It's actually a bit overwhelming because there are rolls and yards. Just it's unreal. It's just fabric everywhere. That place is like I said earlier, I'm gonna take my camera down there. But yeah, I buy a ton of fabric at thrift stores. Whereas and my local 99-cent store, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why, but they're selling fabric. They're selling tons of fabric at the 99-cent store. It's the weirdest thing. It's one of those things where it's like that with sewing machines too. Like you just have to know. I guess with anything, you have to know the value, and you won't get ripped off because how can I say it? Because of inflation. I I have purchased fabric out of state. It's a whole different ball game than purchasing fabric in California because we pay a high tax for everything here, you know? So it just depends on where you live. But LA is a great place. Like if you're into fashion, because it's just a conglomerate of a ton of different cultures as well. Freaking loves making catchy clothes. That's true. Some of the greatest patches. I still have quite a few patches that I purchased 20 something years ago in Portland. That's actually what got me started on Portland was actually the first place that had patches of the bands that I was into, because I was into quite a few obscure bands that no one had ever heard of. Or like I'm a dinosaur, I still listen to Faith No More religiously. Try to go find a Faith No More CD anywhere that's not in a downtown area. And I know I said CD. I know. I still listen to CDs. I you guys are getting me I'm getting that itch to go downtown, but it's become so bad I don't know if I want to go down there. But I definitely miss going to downtown because of the price break, because when you go anywhere that's wholesale, they're going to give you a better price, you know. And so that's the one thing I miss about going downtown. Hey doc, how's it going? If you're free, I know you're busy, but if you're free, the link's in the chat. You can hop right in. I'm probably gonna end this in a little bit. I have been rambling for almost 2 hours. For anyone who knows me, like I came out here all timid at first, but I'm a bit of a rambler. So if you get me going, especially about grandma's house and my sewing supplies, I can go off. But I love the suggestions for that. I need every once in a while I need a good suggestion, you know, because I buy so much fabric that like right on I'm at work, unfortunately. I know. I try to like I didn't want to jump on it on anybody else's time for their stream, and I was also trying to like take into consideration people in other countries. But I sometimes I run out of ideas, you know. Sometimes I'm like, well, I've made a million coats. What else should I make? And I make a kufi with almost every outfit. And I was doing that before I got on YouTube, so I have an outrageous amount of kufis in this room. I'm number 2, so I'm gonna pop out for now. Liz, you are my hero. Thank you for showing up. I've known Liz since 2012. She's a great person. I I appreciate hardworking people, literally the backbone of this country and every other country. The people that go to work and don't cause drama and live their life in peace. I feel like there should be a plaque for or a giant statue. How's it going? How's it going? I'm just ranting about sewing. I'm showing off all of my hoarding and all the crud in my sewing room, ranting about what I'm gonna build next or build what I'm gonna sew next. Really, I need to clean my Husqvarna Viking. That was one of the first machines that I purchased actually from the retailer, and it's slowly starting to skip stitches and stuff. So I think probably tonight, because I'm gonna be up for a while. So tonight I'm probably gonna end up defluffing that thing. And I got defluffing from oh, what is her name? I can't remember the YouTuber's name, but she's Australian. And it made me laugh because defluffing sounds like something else, but really it's just taking all the junk out of your sewing machine. And I fell in love with that saying. But sewing machine maintenance is important because I use my sewing machine almost every day. I'm gonna get ready for workout. Sewing, working on his nice thing. It's because I live in the second to last time zone on Earth. I think there's probably like the Solomons or an island or two, but I live on the West Coast. So like it's 9 o'clock here, and I'm sure it's like what 11 in Texas, 12 o'clock on the East Coast. I miss working third shift. When I got some of the greatest sewing done when I was working third shift. Cuz you do your job and then you have the whole evening to yourself. Oh man, where I don't know what happened with my phone. I can't see the comments anymore. There we go. There we go. 6 a.m. And that's in Germany, right? It's really funny. I like for anyone who knows that I'm on the sofas channel all the time. Hey, how's it
What's
going?
uppers?
Hey, I'm on the sofas channel all the time, and like because of my insomnia, I watch UK news, and it's 7 o'clock in the morning, right during my insomnia hour. So at 11 o'clock California time, it is 7 o'clock in the morning in the UK, or at least that's what Kay Burley says. How's your evening going, my friend?
Not bad. How about yourself?
I'm glad you came. I've been ranting for 2 hours about sewing. I could go on for like 5.
I'm sorry, I was distracted. I was with family, but yeah, no, I got
Oh,
it.
no worries. I'm
I was
so
like, this is live. All right.
no, hop in, man. I'll be here I'll hang out for a little bit longer. I'm just glad that like I got to chat with like Butterfly on my wall. I got to see Robert X again. I'm gonna start streaming again because I miss it. I miss the craziness of streaming.
Oh yeah,
And
for sure, for sure.
I've been getting mad views on my videos, but I miss the human interaction.
I know how that is.
You
My
know,
is
like
my audio on delay? I have a new pair of headphones. I'm still trying to get synced up, but
oh, no worries. No, I trust me, I know all about that. Technology hates me in a lot of ways, a lot of the time. Especially nowadays. Honestly, I'm kind of proud of myself because 3 years ago I didn't know anything about computers at all.
really,
At
I
all.
used to
Well,
do a lot better. I had like a PC back in the day, and then when we all switched to like wireless and tablets, I fell behind. I was like, I don't want. I had a flip phone, like a Nokia for like years, and I was like, it.
Exactly. The same. I had. Do you know what's so funny? I literally was that person that had a flip phone all the way up until like 2012, 2014. I refused to get an iPhone, and it wasn't even anything. I'm not a conspiracy person. I don't believe in any conspiracy theories. I just didn't want one. And the funny thing is, now if you took my iPhone away, I would literally cry in your face, like full on tears. You know, it's funny how dependent I am on that stupid thing.
Actually, that was one of my like the first arguments I heard somebody, I don't remember even who, but at the time I was totally whacked out on the, they're tracking me conspiracy with phones. And then somebody was like, "Who the fuck would want to track you?" Like that's basically the gist of the argument, and it like totally like my skepticism went like my my
Well,
brain was like
the thing is, like, okay, you are being tracked, but not not in the nefarious way that you think. They want to sell your information. They're like for me, I get fabric ads all the time out of the blue. All the time because I'm constantly looking up sewing supplies, sewing stuff. So I get, oh, come to Joann's, come here. They're targeting me because I'm constantly clicking on something. You know what I'm saying?
right.
So you are being tracked, but it's by an algorithm with no feelings and doesn't care.
Yeah, they
It's
didn't
what-
care I was an anarchist,
Yeah. You know, the older I get, I laugh at a lot of the idealistic stuff. I look back at a lot of my old patches and I'm like, my brother used to have a flip phone. Oh, my computer's slow for some reason. Oh, let's highlight this. My brother used to have a flip phone. There's an imprint in his old jeans. I used to wear them all the time. Reminds me of him. My father was like that too. He smoked and he always had because he smoked a pipe, so he always had a pouch in his pocket. And all of his old pouch, all of his pants have still have where the pouch was because he'd wear the same jeans over and over. Those are good memories. Those are absolute. I love stuff like that. Like I have like there's one or two jackets that I haven't put patches on, and it's because it still smells like my smoky old pops.
yeah. I've got one of those. Well, it's been in my aunt's closet for like a year and a half, but like a peacoat from one of my friends that passed away. Like I wanted to put patches all over it, but then I was like, oh no, I should probably just keep it in its like original condition as much as possible because it's like from the 20s or something. Like it's really old.
Oh wow!
It's a nice
Oh
coat.
wow! Dude, oh, you know, you totally reminded me of something. Like I was going off earlier about going through my grandmother's house. My parents had this Egyptian print on their wall. Okay, forever, and I think it's. I have to look. I'll go get it in a second. But when I was going through my grandmother's house, and I thought it was priceless art, okay? And because my parents had it framed in their house. When I went to my grandmother's house, my grandmother had 4 or 5 prints of it. And I asked my mom, and she's like, "Oh yeah, they got it in Egypt on some cruise ship, like some tourist stuff, you know." But I thought it was a priceless artifact. And when the second I found that out, I put it on the back of a coat. But family members were like, "If I ever see you, I will beat you for that." You know, because as human beings, we put a price on nostalgia.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Like I'm a collector and seller. Like I know when I got a sucker because they'll walk up and be like, "Oh, I've been looking for that for my whole life." I'm like, "Okay, $10,000."
My other friend was picking up on like getting like old like collectible action figures and stuff. Like he got a RoboCop, and it was like it was like the rinkiest, the rinky dinkiest toy, but it was like an original RoboCop action figure, and he paid like top dollar for it at the flea market. It's like check this out. And I was like, how much did you pay for that, bro?
I have old Hallmark Star Trek ornaments. Someone gave them to me, and so I put them on my tree, and someone was like, "You put those on your tree? Those are collectible." Like, I don't know these things, you know? It's funny how that worked out.
I used to have like all kinds of old GI Joes and stuff like that, and they ended up they were given away at a certain point in my life, and I didn't have anything to do with it. My parents decided that, so I was like, oh man, that's like those things would have been worth some money, man. A bucket
My
full of like
Oh,
original
yeah.
GI Joes.
I still have a refrigerator, Perry, a bunch of stuff. Because I've told you a million times, my dad was a hoarder. So like when I went through the rafters, I'm like, oh, my childhood is up here. But the cool thing was, like, I found this old Levi's jacket of my dad's. I looked that thing up, man. It's worth $600. And like I kind of fished it out there just to see, and I'm never gonna sell it, but people are willing to pay that much for it.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. Like we were in a department store a couple days ago, me and my cousin, and I was like looking at some jackets that just browsing. I was like $450 for like a good. I mean, it was a good jacket. I was like $450. Are you kidding me right now?
So the
Like, and
tailor,
this is on sale for the holidays.
there's two sides to that. Like the tailor in me is like making a coat is intricate. It's painstaking, and it's machine sewing and hand sewing. So it's not like you got to have skills. I should get my other coat. Like you have to have skills to make a coat. So I get that, but on the other hand, a lot of that stuff comes from countries where they literally have slave labor. You know?
Right, right.
Oh, that's crazy. I've been I want to get a Juki machine. And every time I look it up, it looks like they're in a sweatshop. Because I want to see. I watch the craziest stuff on YouTube. You and I've had this conversation, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And every time I see a Juki like in a working situation, it's in a sweatshop. Or brother too. Brother supports sweatshops big time, and it's just depressing. It's really depressing. I'm anti slave. So it's just
Right.
like
Well, yeah, we can't call it slavery because they pay him something, right? But it's like Depression era in the U.S. Like in comparison, like send your kids in too.
I was ranting about that. I was ranting about that early because it really hurt my feelings. Like California legalized slavery 6 months ago. If you get arrested,
Right. Yeah.
they can do anything they want to you. Your 13th Amendment is suspended, you know? So it's not like it's not going on in here. They're just, do prisoners still make license plates? I don't know
I
if
thought
Alexa could answer that
they
one.
stopped that. I thought they like outsourced the license plates, but it was just because it wasn't making them enough like revenue. I think was the only reason for that.
You know, I'm old. It's that stereotype of like, oh, you'll be punching license plates.
Yeah, yeah. And it's pretty typical across the U.S. I think we're one of the only ones that don't do it
Because I know, like in Texas, Alabama still has chain gangs and stuff like that. So I know, like, depending on where you live, that's why I wasn't too shocked when it passed. There was some lady was crying in the California chamber, and I'm like, thank you for your sentiment, but you're probably getting paid for those tears.
I think they even have like work release programs now, where they will let these prisoners out like on their own recognizance for like a certain number of hours per day, and they just go work independently. Like that they're like on ankle monitors or something, but they're
Excuse
technically
me.
still prisoners.
I said this earlier. During COVID, the sheriffs messed up and they let someone out from my neighborhood that got life in prison. And they were coming around telling people like, hey, if you see this guy, call the cops. I'm like, this guy is 6'7". He's been in prison for 15 years. Like, you better run if you see that guy. You better run if you see that guy, you know? Oh, man.
Yeah, a lot of people got confused about the moratorium on the death penalty. They thought it was like early release or something. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Like they even said, "Oh, it was a paperwork mix-up," and I'll never forget. I was in my front of my house, and I'm like, "That's one heck of a mix-up, don't you think, guy?" Like, so I want to know what's the northern Cali fashion. Are people rocking
Fashion.
hoodies and sweatshirts all the time, or?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of hoodies. Actually, like we're going. What's the term? A little bit of like retro to like the 20s and 30s going on up here. Like I like to wear a lot of like old coats and hats. Like my hat right now is like it's a fedora.
Heck yeah, I
But
wear a
it's just
cowboy hat, and no judgment, no judgment.
oh yeah, no. There's always been that cowboy movement with the rednecks for sure, but they're kind of a fringe. But like for the most part, I see a lot of like androgynous dress. Like a lot of women are wearing that too. It's like that whole like 20s, 30s nostalgia. There's a lot of pinup stuff going on. I don't know. Like I just see a lot of that, and then like a lot of country bumpkins, whatever with them.
Northern California has that weird mix. Like it's different, okay? Like when I would go to San Francisco, you'd see someone in a Gucci suit. And it's the same in LA, but you wouldn't see that like in Stockton or in
Yeah.
like in Sacktown. Would you see somebody like and I'm talking about just a normal dude wearing a Versace suit or something, you know?
Oh, for sure. It's probably not Versace, but it's like a knockoff. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
you'll see
yeah.
that quite frequently in downtown Sac. Yeah.
Hey man, no shade. I'm 100% full disclosure. I have a wannabe Louis Vuitton suit and it's Nautica, but it literally is a copy of a Louis Vuitton suit, but it's made by Nautica.
The other thing, I don't know if they do this in LA, but up in Sacramento, a lot of the hipsters they do what they call bike party, and like a group of like 50 of them will be like on the same street, like doing this massive like bike downtown, get a
Mhm.
beer, and then bike back to it's like
People, we
like
have a lot of people that dress like psychobillies, and they do that.
yeah.
Yeah, we have that here too. And we have people on mini bikes too. It's so weird. People have vests and they drive motorcycles. They're literally hunched over. But people have mini
I
bikes.
meant like bicycles. I meant actually like
Oh
bicycles,
yeah.
or they get the go bikes now too. But yeah, I see
Oh no,
plenty of bikes.
we have a there's excuse me. I shouldn't be rude and out them, but there's a group. They have a vest. They call themselves the pen pals, like from The Simpsons, and they
Right.
ride bikes, like bikes, you know. And it's just funny because where I'm from, people ride motorcycles. So you pull up next to them, and they're like turning their head, but they have a full. It's odd. I like their vests. They have really cool vests. But yeah, they're on bicycles, which is
Yeah,
nothing wrong with.
they'll take up like the whole street, like they're on motorcycles or something. They'll just be like cruising. You're just like, dude, what? And they all have like funky lights and shit too. So it's like, I mean, sometimes it's cool, but you see them all the
Portland,
time. It's like,
Portland, Oregon. I
it's
was
every
talking
day.
about to my friend Liz. She probably knows exactly what I'm talking about. Even though she took off. I was walking home one time. This was my first year living in Portland. 150 naked people went by me on bicycles.
Oh no!
I'm not saying
I
I'm
hope it
prude.
was summertime.
Oh, they do not, man, in Portland. Like I knew someone that lived in Tillamook, which is on the ocean. They go swimming when the water's 20 degrees. I actually, that's where
That's crazy.
I was like, I surf, and they were like, you need a thermal suit. Like it's crazy, it's crazy up north.
See, I
No,
can't do cool. I put on a wetsuit like if my toes were gonna get in the ocean or something. Like
I still have quite a few of my old wetsuits. I do. But that in itself is a fashion because I come from a place where it's warm weather. And so I would get Oh, there I was waiting to see when the hand of fate would come. I have like a I have a wetsuit where it's just like short sleeve. It's like a pair of like it just covers your body. You couldn't wear that up north. It's more of a down south kind of thing. But then again, fashion is so funny. Like when I used to surf, I didn't care. I have a 6'2", 5 fin silver strand. For anyone who surfs, the board is a little bit bigger than me and it has 5 fins. It's made for speed. I really didn't care what my same thing happened to my friend in Chicago. Naked Bay. I didn't know. I'm a bit of a prude butterfly on my wall, but like I said, where am I? Portland is probably one of the most liberal cities I've ever lived in, more than San Francisco. I'm not kidding. But in Portland, Trusty Ape, did you know in Portland it's legal to be naked at a restaurant?
See, I knew they had done a thing for women where women could be topless, the
Yes.
same as men, but I didn't know you could be naked.
I've seen it, and I don't know if it's the law, but I saw 2 nudists walk in and not get kicked out of a Buffalo Wild Wings.
That's pretty rich. I don't know. See, I'm like naked dining, naked grocery shopping. It's still kind of like okay, if you're without your shirt, whatever. But if your pubes are getting in the deli aisle or something, it's starting to get a little. Yeah.
I wear long sleeve during the summer. I'm the wrong person to ask. I'm repressed. Like I'm the wrong person to ask. Oh yeah. In Portland, it's legal to show you can like, and they did that as an equality thing, but really like it's like I said, being from Southern California, I didn't realize how conservative I was raised until I went out in the world.
See, I have to walk it back though, because I'm the guy who has like openly exposed myself in bars as a performer. But I didn't warn anybody. I just took my pants off.
Oh,
and that
that's
was that.
different. I've been mooned. Now that's a t-shirt. I've been mooned by Ozzy Osbourne at least 14 times.
Right.
Like that's different. Like I've seen Ozzy's butt more than he's seen his own butt. Like he like for some reason at Ozfest, he'd walk out and moon at the weirdest times.
Yeah, he was probably just drunk and high on coke.
Yeah. Especially when System took over for Ozzy, he would walk out while they were playing. It's like, bro, we were told you weren't even gonna be here.
No, we actually had a song that was dedicated to this, and my band just knew it was like, maybe not, but it was called the cock song, and so there's a gimmick, you got to pull your cock out, and there were a few times we did, and but we never got kicked out of a venue for it, even in California. No, they were like, that's your last song, and I was like, yep, that was the plan, but that was it.
People forget, like even in like 1989 in California, you couldn't like say the N-word on stage. You couldn't so the fact that you didn't get arrested is a big deal.
Right? Yeah.
That's crazy.
We got in more trouble for playing a Danzig cover. I remember one time they shut our mics off for playing a Danzig cover. There are no cover songs.
What?
Yeah.
I've said this. Yeah. Did I say that on your stream? Like I went and saw Tenacious D, Weezer, and Jimmy Eat World. And like I always say, like, don't judge a band until you see him live. And I was so shocked. Jimmy Eat World ripped, but they played Morrissey for a half an hour, and that was one of the greatest memories of my life. Like I had such a good time at that show. It's not even funny, And I've seen Slayer more times than I've seen my mom. No, I'm kidding. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
so I remember we were talking about that. That's cool.
Yeah,
I mean, Jimmy Eat World is a very underrated band. I think they get kind of stereotyped with the pop punk, but I don't really think they fit into that genre.
No, they're hardcore. I was really they I respect anybody who they're musicians. And like there are certain bands that are put together, Velvet Revolver, and they're past their prime, or you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
But like I'm really into Mike Patton from Faith No More. Like every band he's made, Tomahawk, Mr. Bungle, Peeping Tom, these are like professionals with real music, and they know how to play music, you know.
Oh yeah, Patton's amazing. Like, and it's like you never know what he's gonna do. Like everything, there is no like stereotypical four chord song. Like they just don't do it. You know
The
what I mean?
guy,
They're all about real orchestration.
like, just his vocals got me into opera. Like, he sings opera.
But he's also the guy that like sings through like what back before masks were a thing. He would sing through like an N95 mask or whatever, like as a gimmick. Like, and that
Oh
was
yeah.
part of his whole thing.
Oh yeah. That's my heater. For anyone who's curious what that weird sound is, it's winter here in California. I know my son's probably he probably turned it on. You know, as Californians, we are such fair weather people. Alexa, what's the temperature right now?
Right now, it's 51 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, that's cold. That's cold for a Californian. It's 51.
I only have freezing my butt off. And the winds here were like 20, like at least 20-mile-an-hour winds. It's calmed
like
down now. But
it's like that here too. It's that time of year. Nothing wrong with the nude cycling, but don't forget to put on the saddle unless you're into that kind of stuff. You said it. I've always wondered it. I've always wondered. I'm one of those people that always says, I have so many questions. Because it's not that I don't know the question. I'm just trying to not be rude. I have many questions for nude cyclists. How far are you going? Why are you doing this? Do they have nude cycling up north?
It's like the Forrest Gump thing. I haven't seen any nude cyclists. I mean, I'm sure they're around. I just haven't seen them. You know, well, fortunately for me, but you do see a lot of what do you call that? They're like they'll be like couple cycling, but they're doing it over a like narrow winding hill, and you come around the corner and you're like, damn, I just almost killed that dude's wife.
Same here. Tandem bikes are so dangerous. Same thing here. I agree with you. I have, as somebody who, like, I'm always driving, okay? I have beef with cyclists because in California, they have space. It's like Portland. They have their own path for bikes. And there'll be some guy in the street making a left turn. And, like, I had to unhook the PA in my truck because I was causing trouble. I scared some guy.
That's what I didn't know. It's not like, I don't, if they can do like a bicycle made for two or whatever, but if one of them is in the bike lane, the other one is in the road, and the road has no shoulder, like there's nowhere for me as a motorist to go. I'm like, what are you doing? You know, you're just like, howdy dog, just taking up like half a lane on your bicycle. Like,
oh, Doc, I missed your comment. I'm gonna that hurts. That one hurts so much. I want to read out loud.
ouch.
And you know what the funny thing is? It is always it's always, I don't even want to say it. Never mind. It's always the crazy crowd that's on the bike too. You don't see Giselle and Tom Brady out there.
There's a lot of Karens. There's a lot of bicycling Karens, and I've noticed that too. You know, like they're the ones that probably are like getting like, you know, they have the camera mount on their handlebars, and they're like, "Look at this guy! He passed me doing 35 miles an hour."
We're
in my lane.
Do you know? We have biker Karens here too. They're like the older guys on the BMW, on the, like the cop bikes, you know, they'll tap your car. They they are the biggest Karen.
My mirror is already like halfway busted too. Just go ahead and punch my mirror. Yeah, we'll have some words. It'll be fun.
Oh, in California, if you touch anyone, it's considered assault. So you can't touch anything that's not yours.
Oh no! From what I understand, you can break people's stuff if you don't have video evidence. I mean, the cops are like, yeah, taking the civil court.
Unfortunately, that's
That's
true.
been
But
my
the problem with video evidence is that you don't know, like a lot of video evidence gets thrown out in court because you don't know what led up to that moment happening. You know what I'm saying? Because that person could goad you into a fight and then pick up their phone and be like, oh, I'm being assaulted, when they're the one who literally, the whole transaction wouldn't have happened if that particular person had just minded their own business, you know? The world's funny like that. Do you know I've seen fights at the fabric store. And I used to gamble a lot too. I would see like people sniping at each other in casinos too. Casinos are tense though. Casinos are tense. Like someone's like, man, I just spent $900 to win back 2. I'm having a bad day.
I remember where we were. Me and my ex, we were ripping off like a Joann's or maybe a Ben Franklin's. We were like doing a grab and dash type of thing. And yeah, the lady was like, where are you going? But it was like very innocently, like, because I didn't take anything. You know, mind your business, lady. Yeah, we were taking like that was like some paint, and a little. Oh damn!
You totally reminded me of a story. Like when I was younger, a friend of mine, he was way older than me. I was in high school, and he was like, "Hey man, you wanna go out to eat?" I was like, "Yeah, bro." He's like, "All right." So we ate, and he's like, "Hey, dude, do you want to drive my car?" I'm like 15 years old. I'm like, "Heck yeah, I want to drive your car." He gives me the keys. He's like, "Go start it up. Go drive it." He's like, "I'll be there in a second after I pay." I'm like, "Cool." I started up. Freaking, I pull out. He comes walking out, and he's like, "Drive." I was a dumb kid. I had no idea what was going on. But that was my dine and ditch experience, you know. And he knew I was altar boy, and it wasn't that like I was gonna say anything, but like altar boy type ask a lot of questions. My son does it all the time. He's like, "What is this? What are we doing?" I'm like, "Man, you'd be bad in certain situations." And I was the same way as a kid too. I asked a lot of questions, you know.
To this day, I still can't dine at the Denny's in Fairfield. Exactly.
Crazy time. This was literally, this was like 26 years ago.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago. It's crazy though, because now something like that will get you in a lot of trouble. When I was a kid, it was not rare to drive past a grocery store and someone doing a beer run, and like now you get massive time for that. They used to just like laughing, like, "Oh, you're a kooky kid." Crazy times. What's that?
Oh, I had to come change my laundry to the dryer.
I've been doing that. So if you want to go back to fashion, because it's just my son and I have an outrageous amount of black t-shirts. Okay. I have an outrageous amount of jeans. But the problem is, if I like procrastinate on laundry, I end up doing laundry for like 2 days. Because the more clothes you have, the more you have to wash, you know? So it sounds like a good idea to have like 150 shirts, but then when you wear them all, you have to wash 150 shirts. One of the reasons I asked you about fashion up north is because it's so different depending on where you live. Like, I don't even know. I watch a lot of YouTube. I watch certain communities of all different types. And in LA, it's called showing up and showing out, where someone like will literally show up wearing $1,000 suit to like Subway. I grew up with a man who literally dressed like Willie Nelson. So my examples were like people who wore jean jackets every day, you know?
Big mix. Like I find a lot of the females up here are a lot more put together. Like I use my ex as an example. She will, like call into work because she doesn't have time to do her makeup or something. But every Friday night, she is out just fully, fully dressed. Like everything's perfect.
I don't have
Yeah.
the patience for that anymore. You know, I guess balding was the greatest thing that ever happened to me because I used to have a giant fro and take care of it. I just don't like, I don't know. Like, I'm not about, I don't go in public looking disheveled, but I like my Willie Nelson style, you know? I love how I dress. Are people casual there?
Yeah, pretty casual. A lot of jeans and t-shirts,
Yeah.
and that's generally what I'll wear out. Like, I just like to wear Dickies. Like, but everybody has their own thing. I'm into coats and scarves. Everybody has their own little, yeah.
I wore Dickies for like 25 years. I wore Dickies forever and ever. That's the LA. That's like the total quintessential Los Angeles style, though. You know.
Actually, the whole Trusty Ape brand was based off of like Ben Davis, and that was the original. And then I was like, yeah.
I wore a Ben Davis shirt on the Sofa's stream when Coolio died, and I thought it was funny because the only person who got it was the man from the UK.
Exactly.
I forget that, like in the UK, not as much as it used to be, but they would watch our movies. They would listen to the same music that we do, you know? So there's a lot of things that we have in similar, like because I asked Mike the other day, I was like, do you listen to Wu-Tang? And he's like, of course. And I'm like, well, I don't know, from a different country, they may not be as popular,
Yeah, I understand there's a lot of like exchange going on there. Like what we got Jimi Hendrix because he went and saw the Who, and then the Who was like, who the fuck are these guys? And then
I always use NoFX as an example, okay? So when I say NoFX to you, you and I can literally sing every song. When I meet people who aren't from California, it's weird to me that they don't know who NoFX is. And they're popular, but not as popular as I thought they were.
Yeah. Well, we get like so much diversity in music here. I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but yeah, I also think, there's a reason that we have the indie labels. It's because there's so many like major labels here pushing so much garbage, So, I mean, if you don't have to dig very deep to find it, but if you're not looking past the surface level, you just won't see it.
Absolutely. I think that's like there are certain musicians that I still listen to. You're right. But you have to go looking for them.
I learned about NoFX through bands like AFI and Sick of It All. AFI is from NorCal, Sick of It All is from New York. And then like all those guys, they all kind of ran together. They're like, oh, that's how I learned about NoFX. So all these other bands was just because they were all shouting each other out,
I remember asking my cousin when I was a little kid. I was like 7 or 8. I said, what does DRI mean? He's like, come here. Come here, my friend. Let me show you what it means. I still love Dirty Rotten Imbeciles to this very day.
DRI, I wanted to say, I think I saw them a few years ago, but no, I was supposed to see them, but that one got canceled. I did end up seeing the Dwarves. The Dwarves is another great one. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
But you know what's so funny? Are these all exclusively California? I'm ignorant in this because, like, to me, they're famous, To me, they're like there's a band in Texas called Crowned by Fire. I didn't know they were like a small band. It's just rock and roll. It's nothing. It's like rock and roll, It's not punk. It's not pop. It's just good old rock and roll. But they're Texas famous. I had no idea. I found them on YouTube. They came to LA. I saw them. They put on a great show,
Yeah, like or MDC. I didn't even know MDC was from Texas originally, and yeah. Once
John
you learn
Wayne.
that,
John Wayne is a Nazi. Who knows about MD? You brought up MDC. Are you kidding me? I love MDC. I watch a lot of their live shows on YouTube. They still perform. Well, it's probably old stuff, but
probably
I like.
better now. Like Dave is a freaking monster. Like how the hell did he do it? I don't know.
It's great. I love MDC, dude. Not too many people know about that. Just in that John Wayne is a Nazi song, the doom 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 doom. I love the opening of that song.
Oh yeah, and everything he's saying, like, and he's been doing it. They've been doing it since like the mid or early '80s or something.
Yeah.
Like, and everything he's doing is so progressive. Like, it still resonates today. He doesn't even have to. He's still performing the same songs, and they're still relevant.
It's sad though. I was watching this thing about civil rights, and this guy was like, it's good that we have the tools, but it's sad that we still have to use them after all of these years. And it's true. And it's not just I'm talking about pick a subject. It's sad that we still have to fight these fights after all these years. Which is one of the reasons why I have like completely tuned out and gone back to doing fabric hauls and minding my own business on YouTube.
Yeah,
Because it's
I mean, I'm
mucky.
finally starting to get back out there, but I'm cautious. Like, I'm sparring with the theists at this point. Like, I'm just like, yeah, I'll go back to some little Christian chat. Fuck with them.
That's what this was. Like, I'm like, honestly, I really thought I was going to be in here by myself. So now that I got a response, I'll probably do another one next Monday. Because I am moving, I'm gonna I'm still gonna be making videos because I love making my crazy arse video. I love making my videos, but I'm gonna do more lives because I miss talking to people. I miss meeting people and like Butterfly on my wall. She always comments on my videos, but this is like the first time we've had interaction. And now the second they legalized pot in Texas, Trusty Ape and I will be there.
Hell yeah. I do want to say your videos are just so unique. Like you can't find anything like what you do on YouTube. I haven't seen anything like it. Like just the mix, the music and everything. Like yeah, I mean it's definitely a very original.
I'm not even trying to get deep. Like the chaos of my video is like literally whatever I'm obsessing about or thinking about of that week. And I want to share the fact that I'm in love with like early 1980s bands. I have this weird I you know what it is people played music back then, and I want to share like thank you, Butterfly on my wall. I want to share my experience. I grew up in the MTV generation, and not too many people have that anymore. Like, I want to share that because some of the greatest memories I have as a kid is watching MTV, especially the early MTV when nobody, thank you, Liz, when nobody knew what they were doing. And like the cheesy videos, like take on me, like those were futuristic back in the day,
Yeah, that's new wave. New wave, man.
I love that stuff. But it's one of those things. A long time ago, before my pops passed, he saw a picture of himself and he's like, I got old. And I looked at him and I was like, aren't you old? And but in his head, he was still that plucky 19-year-old kid. He didn't feel his age, and I just want to continue that. Like there's an era, and I'm not saying that I am like so nostalgic. I want to bring that era back, but I like sharing it with people, People don't sing in bands anymore. Like there's auto-tune,
I think there's some of that nostalgia, like in the punk generation, where it's like a lot. The bands that I listen to are now like aged men. They're like in their 60s and stuff. And I'm like, man, I'm still like relatively young, and I thought 30-year-olds were old back in the day, And I'm like, And you're
Totally.
just trying to like keep that youthful energy as much as possible to maintain it, you know.
Every once in a while, my knee will remind me that my sprinting days are over, but you're right. You're right. I think that, and I think a lot of it is that nostalgia. Like, I have a lot of the same CDs that I had in junior high and high school, and I just broke the Above the Rim soundtrack that I need to find out what year I purchased it the year it came out. And it made me laugh because I'm like, dude, I'm not even mad because how long have I had that thing? I've been, and I could easily order another one online. Let's look that Above the Rim. Oof, 1994. I've had that
I remember that year, yeah.
same compact disc for 26 years.
Surprisingly, I still have a couple of those. I still have a couple of CDs that like I could say I've had that for like
You
more
would
than
laugh.
half of my life, but very few.
Do you know what because my parents, well, my father was a hoarder. I found Punkorama 2, 8, and 9.
Oh, that's amazing. I used to love Punkorama. Oh yeah.
It's some of it's hard to listen to though because it's such nostalgia, and I'm not an angry, like, I only dress like an angry teenager. I'm not an angry teenager anymore. So a lot of that is like crazy nostalgia of sitting in my room and brooding, you know.
I will get like songs stuck in my head from that era, and then I will like obsessively Google until I'm like I just remember like one line from the song, and I'm like, where is I've got to find this song right now.
Same. That's like me, and Hot Topic Isn't Punk. Portland, Oregon had some of the greatest underground radio stations, and they would play full albums. And one day I was just gigging out on the bus on the way home, and I heard a song that said Hot Topic Isn't Punk. And I searched for years. I couldn't find it on a hard copy anywhere. And because of the internet, I found it. One day I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So I found it in 10 seconds. It's a great song. It's just a great song. But I've bought Sublime shirts at Hot Topic.
Yes, I'm ashamed to say I have shopped at a Hot Topic before, but I have to shill a friend's band. Friends don't let friends shop at Hot Topic. Stop them.
It's one of those things. Okay, and that's let's go back to fashion. Would you wear, like, I'm into hockey, okay? There's hardcore rivalries. I would never wear a San Jose Sharks jersey or even a Ducks jersey because I'm a Kings fan. Like,
The Sharks used to be my favorite team. I would wear anything Sharks, and I only saw like 2 games, but I just love the Sharks logo.
Oh no, I love their sweater. Like, honestly, the Chicago Blackhawks have one of the greatest sweaters of all time, and I'll never wear it because I hate the Blackhawks. I hate the team. Not a Chicago Blackhawks fan. But like, would you wear like a New York Yankees jersey?
No, and I don't think I think like anything that's like the NYSF, like all that stuff. I just think it's so typical. Like, no, I'm not interested. Or like dudes that wear like the California flag on their shirt. I'm like, yeah, get away with that. I'm not down.
Yeah. I put a California flag on one of my vests, but I was living out of state at the time. And when I moved back, I was like, wow, this is kind of overstating at this point.
I like when I look at somebody's shirt and it's like interesting enough that I'm like, especially with like a lot of bands, if you can actually like read the name that's on the shirt, I'll go and Google it right away. I'll be like, oh, I want to look up that band. It's like a bumper sticker.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. Do you know, it trips me out, and this happened in the early 2000s, when they started making band names like do you remember those weird things at the malls in the early 90s? that would like you'd have to stare at it and the picture would morph into something else.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So Neil deGrasse Tyson calls that brain lapse. Like our brains aren't really supposed to see things. It's literally a brain lapse, you know. It's the funniest thing.
Well, it's like creating it's an optical illusion. It's intentionally creating a mirage. Like
absolutely.
Like when you like take like a whole like collage of images of a person and then pixelate them together to make that person's face, but it's like the whole like is just a bunch of different pictures.
I think that's so crazy, especially like they'll do like with Donald Trump, they'll put a bunch of D pictures and they're like zoom in. And I'm like, why did I listen to the internet? Why did I listen? No, they've gotten pretty dead to rights with those. Your computer can do it now. Nerdy Rodent with that diffusion stuff, that's like being on a hardcore drug with all that new all that new technology where it morphs into one thing and another. There was one where I was like, oop, I'm not watching this. It's crazy.
Yeah, or those news video where well, I mean, I will say there's something to that where they splice all the different newscasters together and they're all saying essentially the same thing, and then they just layer it one over the top of the other.
I won't even lie.
That's a little uncanny.
I felt like I was in that movie. What's the movie where Roddy Piper was in it? The one where I'm just here to not Roddy Piper. It might have been. I'm just here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. Oh, where he wears the glasses and he can chaos dropped out. I cannot remember that movie. Oh, they'll be back. They'll probably jump back in. But there's a movie where he's wearing glasses. They live. Thank you. Doc's probably typed in like, hey, crazy person, look at the chat. I feel like that nowadays. When I was watching that weird clip of everybody in their drone news, I did feel like I was in They Live. Well, I have been rambling for 2 hours and 41 minutes. I'm probably gonna I'm gonna end this here. I absolutely appreciate every single one of you. You guys are amazing. You keep the Godless Sewing channel going, so don't ever forget that. I think everybody who will watch this in the future or anyone who's watching it right now, you're awesome. As always, you know what, Liz? It makes me sad that music is a classic. that movie is a classic. It's really sad. I'm gonna watch that tonight. But as always, reinforce your seams, be yourself. What else? Don't forget to stay creative and keep sewing. And I think I'm gonna do this again next week. And because I'm super consistent, I'll probably do it around the same time. I'm you have me dreaming. You legitimately have me dreaming of Texas butterfly on my wall. You truly do. My son would love it because he's in a hardcore tractor driving phase right now. Thank you, Doc. Thank you. Trusty Ape, as always, you're awesome. I absolutely if it wasn't for you guys, I would be a sad sack sitting on my couch. So I thank everyone, and I'll be back next week. And I'll have a video out on Friday or Saturday, as always. I'm trying to involve myself in the Friday sews, but I procrastinate so much that it becomes a Saturday sew. So until next time, reinforce your seams, always be yourself, and I will definitely see you next time.